Hello, welcome back to Drunk Storytime with Quefish. I'm Quefish. This is the worst drunk ever. Luckily, I had something else first, and now I'm having cheese. So, sorry, I'm like dying of hunger. I should not have started this video, but I did. This is called Dessert by Redundant Angel. I was just in, what is that? I'm not into my cups. My cups are into me at this point. I was in Discord and I was like, hey, I have a really nice tipsy going on. Does anybody want me to read anything? And Redundant Angel was like, I have this. And I was like, I'm gonna read it. So, this is called Dessert by Redundant Angel. The summary, hang on, let's just check. This is an explicit, which is adult content. Sexy things. Aziraphale indulges himself on chocolates. Crowley indulges himself on Aziraphale. Unbeknownst to many, St. Valentine's Day, in one form or another, has actually been around since the Middle Ages. It was the vapid commercialization of the holiday and the inevitable sentiment of disappointment that went with it that Crowley considered to be some of his best work. It wasn't so much wonder than that it wasn't much wonder then that the demon had little interest in joining the fray of people scrambling to pick up last-minute gifts for their sweetheart at the drugstore, or fighting for dinner reservations in a loud and crowded restaurant. This was Crowley and Aziraphale's said something completely different. First Valentine's Day together as a couple. However, and Crowley wanted to impress his angel. Aziraphale refused to call it dating, as the term seemed entirely inadequate to describe the depths of his love for Crowley, nor to describe the earth-shattering sex they had recently been having since finally getting together. Regardless, Aziraphale wanted to celebrate the occasion just like any other couple. So, of course, Crowley had taken him to the most romantic restaurant in London, the Ritz. Just a second. While the angel dined on lobster and caviar, Crowley had merely watched and sipped suggestively at his wine. Okay, but he is such a dork. I can see him be like, like suggestively. Aziraphale had been under the impression that a romantic dinner for two was meant to be a shared experience. I dropped my cheese. So he was slightly miffed at Crowley for not so much as tasting his food. You didn't have a single bite to eat at dinner, Aziraphale pouted out as he and Crowley returned to the bookshop later that evening. I was saving room for dessert, Crowley replied with a grin. He reached behind his back to reveal a sleek black box tied up with a ruby satin ribbon and handed it to Aziraphale, whose eyes lit up with excitement. Aziraphale unwrapped the red satin ribbon and with a wiggle of anticipation pried open the lid Inside were 24 of the most delectable chocolates to be found in all of London. There were creamy milk chocolates, rich dark chocolates, and heavenly white chocolates with classic Belgian fillings. There were chocolates filled with ganache, praline, and caramel. All of them exquisitely handcrafted. All of them incredibly tempting. "Oh, Crowley," Aziraphale exclaimed happily. "These look absolutely scrumptious." "You shouldn't have." "Yes, I absolutely should have," Crowley said, sliding languidly into his usual spot on the sofa across from Aziraphale's armchair. "I love you, and you deserve to be spoiled." Aziraphale licked his lips and enthusiastically selected a single chocolate from the assortment inside the box. He studied it for a moment, admiring the fine craftsmanship, then popped it into his mouth with a smack. His eyes fluttered shut as he marveled over the delicate flavors and varied textures as the chocolate melted inside his mouth. I dropped my foot. When he eventually came back down to reality, he noticed Crowley leaning forward on the sofa, staring at him intently with that same ravenous look in his eyes that he'd had all throughout dinner at the Ritz. The stubborn demon had no idea what he was missing. "You should try one, Crowley," Aziraphale insisted, offering him the box of chocolates. "Please?" "No, thank you," Crowley replied, the silhouette of a smile creeping across his lips. "I thought you said you were saving room for dessert." Aziraphale shrugged and popped another chocolate into his mouth with a heavenly sigh, repeating the experience for a second time. "I am." The smile on Crowley's face stretched into a mischievous grin. He stood and sauntered over to Aziraphale. "You still haven't figured it out, Angel?" The look on Aziraphale's face told him that he hadn't. Crowley took the box of chocolates and placed it aside, leaning closer until his lips were just inches away from Aziraphale's. "You're my dessert." An involuntary shiver ran down Aziraphale's spine. What? "I've been thinking about you all night, Aziraphale," Crowley said as he slid one hand up the Aziraphale's thigh. "Waiting for the moment until I could get you home so I could enjoy my own tasty treat." Aziraphale's lips parted with a sharp breath as the demon's fingertips brushed against the inside of his thigh and lingered there, teasing circles around his mounting erection. "I'm going to devour you, Angel," Crowley said as he pressed his lips against Aziraphale's neck, nibbling gently into the tender softness before him. That word's missing, though. Aziraphale moaned loudly, his cock pulsing with need under the demon's skillful touch. With a snap of Crowley's fingers, Aziraphale's trousers were gone, and the Angel found himself naked from the waist down. "Come on, Angel, stand up," Crowley demanded playfully. Aziraphale obliged, rising unsteadily to his feet. Crowley hummed as he admired the Angel's cock, already fully hard and pulsing with want. "For me?" he asked. Aziraphale nodded, trembling before him. "Oh yes, my dear. It's all for you." "Perfect," Crowley hissed. There is not one hissing sound in that word. He slipped to his knees and wrapped his long, agile fingers all the way around the girth of Aziraphale's erection. His tongue darted out from between his lips, and Aziraphale could clearly see that it was no longer of the human variety. With his eyes does that actually... I've not actually read the whole book. I'm a bad fan. Is that a thing? That the split? I'm a bad fan. With his eyes locked to Aziraphale's, Crowley licked a quick stripe across the angel's cock, and watched with pleasure as Aziraphale gasped, another shiver running straight through him like I can read. I swear to God I can read. Crowley licked a quick stripe across the angel's cock and watched with pleasure as Aziraphale gasped, another shiver running straight through him like electricity through a live wire. Not wanting to wait another second, Crowley slid his lips around the head of Aziraphale's cock and gave it a firm suck. The angel bit back a cry of delight at the sensation, his stance wavering as he fought to keep still. Crowley let out his own moan of delight at the first taste of Aziraphale on his tongue. He slid his lips further down Aziraphale's shaft, inch by inch, until he'd sated himself on the full length of him, then began sucking him in earnest, taking him twice shallow and deeper on the third pull. Crowley's serpentine tongue possessed a dexterity that no human tongue could possibly have. And much to Aziraphale's delight, the demon was using it now to its full advantage. He twisted his tongue all the way around Aziraphale's thick cock right to the base like a corkscrew. Holy shit, that's awesome. I almost said that entire thing again. The angel's moans of pleasure were coming fast and loud, and he began thrusting his hips more eagerly against Crowley's mouth. Oh, fuck Crowley. Aziraphale swore, completely at the mercy of the demon's talented tongue. Fuck, I love it when you scream my name, Angel, Crowley groaned. He began to alternate between taking Aziraphale's cock fully in his mouth and sliding his swift tongue around it and teasing twists, as though he were licking a popsicle. Excuse me. It didn't take long before the combination of sensations proved to be more than Aziraphale could handle, and he came with an intense cry pumping hotly down Crowley's throat. The demon swallowed every drop before licking Aziraphale dry with one final flick of his tongue. Crowley, that was... Aziraphale swooned as his knees nearly gave out, and Crowley had to catch him, lowering him onto the soft rug below. Oh, I'm not done with you yet, Crowley replied with a smirk. He smacked Aziraphale on the ass, and the angel let out a tiny whimper. You are so fucking sweet that I can't help but want a second helping. How about you change to a nice wet cunt for me? Really? Aziraphale hesitated. He had yet to experiment with a change of equipment. I want to make you come for a second time. Do you think you can do that for me, Angel? With barely a second thought, Aziraphale had already made the change, his new effort already dripping wet and ready to go. It wasn't much wonder, since the way Crowley was talking was driving Aziraphale up the wall. Crowley, he whispered. Yes? Would you kiss me? The question was posed so sweetly that Crowley couldn't help but comply. He climbed over Aziraphale and rewarded him with a very passionate kiss. The angel melted against him as he licked into his willing mouth with that serpent tongue, swallowing up every soft moan with his own. My dear, Aziraphale managed between kisses, I should tell you, that tongue of yours is positively sinful. Crowley smothered a laugh. All the better to eat you with. He slipped out of Aziraphale's grip to hover over the angel's brand new cunt, flicking his tongue out to tease Aziraphale's clit. The angel gasped, squirming with pleasure. Oh, God, Crowley, please. Do that again. Crowley did not need to be asked twice. He flicked and teased the angel's clit with the fork of his tongue until Aziraphale was positively vibrating against him. Then he licked between the pretty pink folds, exploring every inch and lapping up the delicious taste of Aziraphale's dripping cunt until the angel was thoroughly shaking with pleasure. After a minute, Crowley stopped, rolled onto his back, and beckoned Aziraphale to climb on top of him. What are you doing? Aziraphale asked, eyes growing wide. I want you to ride my tongue, Crowley laughed. I promise you'll love it. Aziraphale, the hopeless hedonist that he was instantly intrigued. He cautiously straddled Crowley's face, sinking lower until Crowley had all of him in his mouth. Let's see how long it will take you to melt in my mouth this time, Crowley mused. With a predatory growl, the demon spread Aziraphale apart and licked right into the center of him, slipping his tongue in as deep as possible and tasting him from the inside. Oh, fuck, Crowley. I'm sorry, I don't like making the noises. I don't like writing the noises. Aziraphale cried as he bucked against him and began rolling his hips uncontrollably. It was as though Crowley knew exactly how to pleasure him, hitting the exact right spot with a blitz of thrumming vibrations. Obscenities that even Crowley had never heard before began spilling from Aziraphale's mouth as he rode the demon's tongue with abandon. It wasn't long before the angel was coming for a second time, pulsing hotly around Crowley's tongue as an orgasm twice as powerful as the last one shook his entire body. Completely spent, Aziraphale climbed down to lie next to Crowley on the soft rug. This was all on the floor? Holy shit. Did I miss that? Aziraphale climbed down to lie next to Crowley on the soft rug. He was still shaking from the flood of endorphins that were racing through his body. Good Lord, he muttered. I think I might like to keep this effort around for a while. Told you you'd love it, Crowley laughed as he held Aziraphale close and pressed a gentle kiss against the angel's forehead. Indeed, Aziraphale mumbled, nuzzling against Crowley's shoulder. Crowley stretched himself out, his shirt riding up just enough to reveal a tantalizing swatch of skin to Aziraphale as he reached for the box of chocolates. More chocolate. Oh my god. Chocolate after sex would be amazing. Plucking one out from the box and popping it into his mouth with a smile. These are pretty good, he admitted, offering the box back to Aziraphale. Aziraphale did not take the bait. Instead, he looped one finger beneath the waistband of Crowley's dangerously low-slung jeans, eyeing the demon's hips with interest. Crowley, he said with a lick of his lips, You know I'm always up for something sweet. Ooh. Are you now? That was so cute. That was cute. That was Redundant Angel and Dessert. And I will see you next time.